A new United Nations Security Council resolution aimed at increasing aid delivery to the hungry and sick civilians of the Gaza Strip has been criticized by aid officials who warn that it will not be enough to stop the worsening humanitarian crisis. The resolution, approved on Friday, calls for the appointment of a special coordinator for aid to Gaza and the establishment of a mechanism to expedite the delivery of essential supplies such as food, water, fuel, and medicine. However, it does not demand a ceasefire. Aid officials argue that even if enough aid were to enter Gaza, it would be impossible to distribute it due to ongoing Israeli airstrikes and ground invasions. The fighting has turned much of the territory into an active combat zone, making it unsafe for aid workers to operate. The resolution does not specify when the special coordinator will be appointed or what the first steps will be. After 11 weeks of war, the situation in Gaza has become increasingly dire. The territory's more than 2 million people are cut off from the outside world, with many displaced from their homes and living in overcrowded and unsanitary conditions. The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, an international partnership of aid organizations, has declared that Gaza's entire population is in crisis or worse, with the highest share of people facing acute food insecurity ever classified for any area or country. Human Rights Watch has accused the Israeli government of using starvation as a method of warfare, calling it a war crime. Israeli ground forces continue to engage in deadly battles with Hamas fighters in northern Gaza and are gradually advancing into central and southern Gaza. The military has ordered civilian evacuations from areas of intense fighting, forcing people into a shrinking and densely packed fraction of the territory. The Israeli military claims to be minimizing civilian casualties while targeting Hamas, but it has repeatedly struck areas where displaced people have been told to seek safety. The ongoing war, the large number of Hamas fighters, and the discovery of an extensive tunnel network have raised doubts within Israel about the feasibility of eradicating Hamas. The Israeli military says it is steadily weakening the group but emphasizes that the war is far from over. The United States, which had vetoed earlier resolutions calling for a ceasefire, supported Israel's position that stopping the offensive would allow Hamas to rearm and continue to threaten Israel. The new resolution, passed with a vote of 13-0, with the United States and Russia abstaining, focuses on aid delivery rather than stopping the fighting. Before the war, about 500 trucks per day carried aid to Gaza, but the blockade imposed by Israel and Egypt since 2007 has severely limited access. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinians has stated that a minimum of 200 trucks per day are needed to sustain the population. Israel suspended all aid deliveries for the first 2 weeks after the October 7 attacks and has since resumed them on a limited basis. Last week, under international pressure, Israel opened its only cargo crossing to aid trucks, but the number of trucks entering Gaza is still far below the need. The inspection of trucks remains an issue, as Israel insists on thorough inspections to prevent the entry of goods that could benefit Hamas. Aid groups argue that this process has slowed down aid delivery, but Israel denies this. The limited aid entering Gaza and the collapse of the territory's commercial sector have left many families without resources and increasingly hungry. Fuel shortages have led to power outages, shutting down hospitals, water desalination and pumping plants, and sewage treatment stations. Infectious diseases have seen a sharp increase. The Israeli military claims to have killed dozens of Palestinian fighters in an airstrike and arrested over 200 members of Hamas and Islamic Jihad in the past week. The military has issued additional evacuation orders affecting more than 150,000 people in central Gaza. The danger faced by aid workers in Gaza was highlighted by the killing of a 30-year veteran of the United Nations Development Program, along with his wife and 5 children, in an airstrike. Criticism of the war within Israel has been limited since the October 7 assault, but some former senior Israeli security officials have begun to question whether toppling Hamas's rule in Gaza is ultimately feasible.